Right, hello everyone, thank you for joining us this afternoon. It is 6:53 and I call this meeting to order. Commissioner MS, do you mind having phone for us?
Of course, 501 Sellers. Present. 502 Thomas. Present. 503 Lucio.
She is excused.
Excuse. 504 Mez. Present. 505 Weston.
Present.
506 Holloway. Present. 507 Sosa Verdica.
Present.
508 Elaine Alston.
Present.
509 Bethune.
Present. Great. We have the agenda, our commissioners have have received it. I have had a very quick note on the agenda. There's a few notes that are no longer on there. So it was just a gentle reminder to our commissioners that if there are any action items that you want to make sure to bring to this monthly meeting, that we make sure that you bring it to our monthly committee of the whole, so we're able to have a chance to review and discuss. And just to make sure you've had a chance to connect with your SMD and your civic associations, so that all the community had an opportunity to comment and provide feedback on that. And with that being said, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I put a motion on the approve the agenda.
And I have a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain? Motion passes unanimously.
Agenda, are there to approve the minutes? And all in favor? All opposed? Okay. The minutes. We reviewed it during the
Opportunity to review it and I'll share my screen if you would not mind walking us through the treasurer's report.
I need to put my microphone on. Or?
No worries, no worries. You can just speak.
Okay. Okay. Right. So this was for February. We started off with $73,003.70, and we had $5,000 come in from a grant from the DC government, and in the meantime, we had a purchase of a cell phone, $978.38, MailChimp, $47.70, a Mac for $525, phone bill, $213, reimbursement for feed sellers for some fancy purchase, $36, and quality printers for printing, $160, and we ended up with $76,043.20.
Commissioners, do we have any questions about the treasurer's report? There's no action item here, just reviewing and ensuring everything is in order.
Does this reflect the question? Does this reflect the quarterly installment?
No,
When do we, I think I asked that in executive board meeting, when do we expect those funds to come in?
hopefully next month.
We had just, because we're missing a couple items that we have to send to ANC. They're gonna give us that first.
So we would not receive, we're not eligible to receive the funds.
There
until
were
the
them
paperwork.
until we submit.
And what are those items?
I have a list of
I
them.
think it's 1 minutes from last year, and then
Yep.
we need to do a test properly in one of the minutes. And then we're missing one grant.
Those are all submitted, so it's the grant reports that we're missing, and then signed minutes of a contract that was approved in like 2022. So it's a few of those sticky archaeological
Yeah.
that we have to do, but we've submitted all of the minutes from last year that were still pending. The grant reporting, that I think is one of the ones that is the biggest one pending, since we can't internally just bring it up ourselves. So I think it's one of those things that in consideration of the future, when we are looking at our grant making to ensure that the partners we're working with, we're able to work with through the duration of the grant, since we have to do that reporting at the end and really justify how the funds were used. So it's mostly the grant reporting documentation, and then the contract for ILIF, the website services that we need to submit to be able to receive our allotment.
And what's What's the time frame that you think we could resolve this by?
I'm hoping, Commissioner Bethune and I are meeting this weekend to do another, we did a half sprint to get it done last time, and Peter, the QFR, because that QFR fund was at, the third quarter was, in getting that done. So I'm hoping within the next week or so, we get everything cleared up.
Is there anything that I can do to help assist in this process? I just want to make sure that our books are clean and that we're able to, as easy as we send the funds out, that we're able to receive the funds coming back in.
I appreciate that. Thank you for asking. I might tap you for some assistance on just connecting with some of our grantees. That's one of the things that, like I said, has been a bit of the difficult part, right? Filling out those grant reports, since we have to justify pretty much each expense and how it was used. So I really happy with that. Commissioner Sellers.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the budget or report? Fabulous. I will move on to the next item. To action items. So to start, we have a motion from 5A in general. We saw that the draft of BC 2050 comprehensive plan came out. 5A and Ward 5 in general, I think needs some rep and some work to ensure that we are being represented accurately and our community is being supported as they would like to see our community be supported and move forward. And for that reason, I wanted to bring a motion to the table to create a committee for the DC 2050 comprehensive plan to ensure that 5A is being appropriately represented and that our community concerns are being addressed. Do I have a second?
I'm sorry.
All in favor? All opposed? All abstain? Motion passes unanimously. I will be sending out an email to all of our constituents regarding the committee. So for everyone listening, if you are interested in being part of the 2050 plan committee for 5A, please let us know. We'd be so excited to have y'all be a part of that and participate in that. 5A02, Commissioner Thomas.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I have the pleasure of being the ANC Commissioner for 5802. I cover Eastern Avenue, Michigan Avenue, South Dakota, Gallatin Street, and then you have Sergeant Road. On Sergeant Road is the Boy Scout of America, Sergeant Road, and it's been there for quite some time. And they are currently discontinued operation in the District of Columbia. For whatever reason. And so they have decided to part ways with the property. So they have sold the property. The developer who's here today, this Vicky Davis from Urban Land Development. Their group bought the property. This is the same group that has Walter Reed complex up on Georgia Avenue. And they're here today to talk a small part with VDOT wants them to do. Now, this project is about a minor right. It's not going to offer the planning, zoning, anything like that. They can build on the property. VDOT came back and we had a community off the plan. Remember it was? Yeah,
For large tract.
They have such grades, and we did that. And then now they come back and asking the developer to enhance the traffic pattern on Sergeant Road. So that traffic pattern consists of walking across the street. They'll have some lines there. So people walk across the street and won't get hit on Sergeant Road. And they're enhancing the handicap, which is there now. They will take that up, they will put a much larger one there. And so this Davis is here today to speak to a overview of what is happening with that project, to move forward. Davis, first off, thank you for coming. Yeah.
I have the current stand-ups and I sent one online, there's the 7 of them. If you'll take one and pass it on, that'd be great. Good evening. My name is Vicki Davis. I'm one of the founders of Urban Atlantic Development, and we're very happy to be working with you and developing in your neighborhood. We take that very seriously. This is a voluntary request that we are taking on for a letter of support from our ANC for our public space permit. And the public space permit, VDOT always, anything that's done in the public street goes to the public space committee. And they either have it on their consent agenda, which we expect this might be. We do improvements to the street. I'm going to direct you, you're on the last page, so you can kind of flip it over. Sorry about the stapling. The light gray signs here are all signs that already exist. So you have some deer crossing signs, you have some no parking signs, you have some metro bus signs, you have things like that. If you flip the page over, these are all double-sided, to the second page, you'll see that instead of being in gray, there are things in very clear black and white. There, the VDOT has the ability to ask us to make improvements in the public realm. So you will see we are reusing the driveway that we have. We're widening it a little bit. And we're gonna have zebra stripes to help people cross over it, so people know it's a driveway, and then you walk across the zebra stripes. It also has the handicap access, so they call out the detail in the upper right-hand corner of the image. And then we have a 15-foot zebra stripe crosswalk across Sargent Road. So crosswalk across Sargent Road and across the driveway. Why is this important? Well, there's a bus stop on each side of the road. And the crosswalks are quite far away right now. And so you would have to go down the sidewalk and come around, and then you'd have to do that on the north side. So VDOT would like to have a crosswalk right here. And they would also like to have some new bus signage. And they would like to have these signs that show a human being crossing the road. They also do not allow crosswalks for people to walk out behind a parked car into traffic. And so they remove one parking space on one side of the crosswalk, one parking space on the other side, so that nobody is, blindly walking out into traffic. The second part of this presentation is an intersection that is part of your overall, and flip over again. We're to the third page, looks just gray like this. And this is what's there now. This is an intersection of Crittenden Street and South Dakota Avenue. There is a South Dakota improvement plan underway at VDOT. They have a big plan for South Dakota that has nothing to do with us. But this intersection is 400 feet away from our site. And they think this intersection needs help. One of your ANC commissioners asked me to look up how many accidents have been here. There have been 140 accidents in the last 10 years. The rate of accidents, it wasn't like 14 per year, it's a number that's going up. So it might have started at 10 and it's going up. The majority of them are vehicle with vehicle, and some of them are vehicles with pedestrians. VDOT, and South Dakota is on a slope. Crittenden is more flat. South Dakota has 4 lanes of traffic. VDOT does not want people to be able to cut through on Crittenden. They do not want people on South Dakota to be able to make any left-hand turns onto Crittenden from either direction. You could be going north and there's no left, and then you could be coming south and there's no left going the other way. They don't want it as a cut through. Sometimes people do not pay attention to no left turn sign. They should, because it's a law. Sometimes they don't. So sometimes VDOT likes to reinforce that message with a thing called flex posts, which is what these little dots are in the middle of the intersection here, going here, so that it does not allow any cutting through. The only reason this is part of my plan is because they want me to pay for this. And they have the right to ask me to pay for it, which I would agree to do. And I have agreed to do that because we don't believe in fighting City Hall. VDOT says it, they have good reason for saying it, they asked us to do this, so we will do what they ask us to do. You as neighbors have different rights, and I'm sure you're working with them on the South Dakota Avenues plan. So I am coming here to ask your ANC in full for support of the, of our public space permit, and I drafted a resolution for you. I don't know if it's proper for me to read it, or if it's proper for you to read it, or if you want it read or not. You want me to read it? Okay. Very small. It lists all of the ANC commissioners, and this is written to Matthew Mark, who, it's a kind of a form document, and it says reference, Boys County Public Space Permit. At a regularly scheduled and properly noticed public meeting held on March 25th, 2026, with a quorum of commissioners being present, Advisory Neighborhood Commission, ANC 5A, voted to support the public space permit application of Boys Town Development at 4801 Sergeant Road Northeast. The next paragraph says, ANC 5A supports the proposed public space improvement plan as currently submitted with BC Department of Transportation for the proposed improvements on Sergeant Road. We agree that the proposed improvements requested by VDOT, including curb cuts, signage, crosswalk, existing bus stop, sidewalk improvements, we're widening the sidewalks from 3 feet to 6 feet, just on our side of the road. Crosswalk, existing bus, sidewalk improvements, parking signage are all appropriate for the project and help with traffic safety in the neighborhood on behalf of the commission and then electronics. And I think that was perhaps suggested by the ANC. Thank you. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I do. I'm clear on the letter and request. Regarding this crosswalks, the first page.
On the free page, we're on the second page, maybe.
And the zebra, are you referring to the patch? It's crosswalks from one side of the street to the other, but on the west side of the street of Sergeant Road. What exactly are those? Is that
Sure.
Are those flex posts in that area?
No. So. Thank you, got it. Hopefully everything's intact. There are 2 crosswalks. One across our driveway, which is right here across our driveway. And one, a big wider one, 15 feet to comply with the ADA rules and regulations that goes from one side to the other. You see these little cross hatched areas? That's a don't park here. Because if you park next to a crosswalk and I'm walking there and there's a car parked, there could be somebody driving down the road and it's gonna hit me as soon as I come out from the car. So they ask you not to have anything, and it's striped, like, don't park here.
So are there flex posts
No.
there?
No.
'Cause I've seen them on Galloway Street beside of,
I have not
the
seen that,
modern.
and it is not suggested.
Well, the biggest issues that I've observed, people don't, even if it says there is no parking, people will sometimes park in here out of desperation to find a parking space. If they didn't bring it up.
Yeah,
it's okay.
they didn't bring it up. I think the time when this area is most heavily parked is on Sunday mornings during church.
Yeah.
And,
That will be an issue.
but it also provides a way for people to safely cross the street, which they cannot do at Delafield right now because there's no crosswalk. So it's I think it's benefits the church actually for us to put this in.
Interesting.
And this question is not related to the traffic plan, it's just a clarification. In your project, which I know you're moving forward, is already approved. I'm just curious to know, are there any EV stations in your project?
So these are all home ownership buildings, and DOEE requires power to the house to be EV charging enabled. So they will,
A homeowner could do it themselves.
the people who live on the property will be able to do it in their homes. Right? So
So is that a new code for developers, when they're building, if it's a single family home or semi-attached home or mixed-use development. I know that we have a project, in, the Modern and Arts Place. And as part of their PUD in the garage, there is an EV charging station slated to be built. But
So I would, first of all, we as a company have put 2 megs of rooftop solar on our projects in DC. We are one of the largest rooftop suppliers of solar and energy. And we just finished putting it on top of the Lisner home. We totally believe in EV, solar, energy efficiency, etc. There is a new code, but new is like relative term. In the last couple of years, you must have EV enabled for single family, townhomes, multifamily, and mixed use. And so in our public garages, we have a certain number of them. We actually have ones where you have it in place now, but then we have an electrical circuit that allows you to build additional ones going forward, because we think that over time, more and more people might have EV vehicles.
so, and then my last question back to the traffic. In the event, yeah, we have the weight of the ANCs. If we, in the letter, we say, oh, we support this, but we don't want the flex poles. At the end of the day, TDOT comes back and says, we hear you, but we're gonna put in these flex poles, then you have to put in the flex poles. Is that how it works? Is that accurate?
We usually have to do what they say, no matter
Yeah.
what you say. So I hate to say it that way, but like that, like they say jump, we say how high. And then we do whatever they tell us to do. Yeah.
Will there be any other entrance or way to get out of this complex, or only the one that?
So, Carmen Williams from the North Michigan Civic Association raised exactly that issue. This site is, very deep, and then it's proportionately more narrow for the space on Sargent Road. It also touches Delafield Alley. I'm calling it Delafield Alley, it doesn't really have a name. So, the grade does not permit connection at Delafield Alley. And we wouldn't do that because neighbors wouldn't like it, right? And so that's not a thing. Carmen has raised this issue, and there are people in your government who address this. DDOT is one and FEM's other, emergency services and fire and emergency services. Neither one wants a second entrance. We do not want a second entrance, but just in case, so our plan wouldn't be held up, I left an area for one, just in case.
Where would that be?
I'll show you exactly where it will be. It's, and I'll come and show everybody. This is a drive. All of the drives on the site are private drives with a public access agreement. This is, I'm gonna do this north-south, okay? This is the north, this is the south. All right. This is Sargent Road. This is our site. This is our main entrance where the crosswalks are. See here, there's no houses here, and my road takes like a left-hand turn. Can you see it? Shall I draw it for you?
I got it.
I'm sorry. Can I put my finger? This is a drive right here. This is a drive right here. And this way. This area used to have 2 houses on it, and I forewent them.
So that a connection can come through in the future, if it's ever desired or needed or anything by anyone. So this is Sargent Road right here. So, and the reason the VDOT doesn't fund it is it actually makes it worse for traffic. So that's why they don't want that. I'm sure there's like more details. Let me help you with this. I'm so sorry. This is Sargent Road. It's okay. Let me get you right side up. Okay, right side up. We always look at the guy across the road. This is north. this is south, this is the existing entrance to the site. Inside the site, I have a road that curves here, right? But if you look right here, there's nothing there, there's like some trees in the plant. So you could put this lane all the way through and have an entrance. So I would have an entrance here and an entrance here. There's not.
So that's where there is just.
Everything on the site is private drive.
Right.
Alley has a different connotation. So it's a very different thing for our city. This is a private drive, we'll maintain it. The HOA will take care of it. You can drive your car on it, it has a public access easement. You can walk on all the sidewalks, a mile of sidewalks on the site. So if you want to come and walk your dog, have at it. Or just walk with your family. You can drive your car in if you want. And it's all privately maintained, and it helps cut down the budget for DDOT of not having to maintain the streets.
Thank you, just to make sure I fully got it, this is the screen that's being shared, is it on that corner?
So, do you want me, is this a touch
It's
screen?
not,
It is not.
unfortunately.
Do you have your cursor?
Okay.
So this is Sergeant Road going north-south. This is an on-site driveway, and see where it takes the bend? It could actually go straight through.
Gotcha, okay, so I just wanna make sure I'm zooming on the right
Yes,
part.
that's right. Do you want to put like a rectangle? Can you do that or not so much?
I know, actually. Is it here?
Yes, it is
Okay.
there. Correct.
Great, okay, thank you, I just wanna make sure
Okay.
that, the
Yeah.
folks online can
Yeah.
see that as well.
So it could be if people want it. I don't think they will, but it's a possibility. And we forewent 2 homes to make that happen, which is fine.
And you also given up 2 lots. With
Those
that
are the
home, Yeah.
Are there any other questions from commissioners, from community members?
A quick question, was it ever, considered it's a hazardous exit only though, not an entrance exit, just an exit only, supposed to be out?
DDOT prefers less entrances onto Sergeant because it results in less traffic issues. And we did a whole traffic study. The study 10 of the nearby intersections and this one, and they determined that usually what DDOT worries about is peak traffic flow, which is when people are leaving the site in the morning to go to work, when people are coming home in the evening to come home. And they checked that, and they found, based on the measured traffic in the neighborhood, based on the proposed development in your neighborhood, based on this all together, that there's minimal impact. And there's no issue.
Hi, my name is Salam. I live near the One Hawaii project. And what is this? Are you, so I've only been attending meetings for a few months now. Are these meant to be all townhomes? How many? What's the price range? Is it mixed use? And what is the target launch date or the grand opening?
Okay, here's the sum.
Yeah.
This is a 12-acre site. It has by rights zoning for duplexes or single family. So we have chosen to do duplexes. That's why they kind of look weird. You see 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay.
Okay. So duplexes, right? One side is the party wall together and the other side is your side yard.
Okay.
Okay. So much larger lots than you would typically see for a townhouse.
Okay.
So it is by right zoning. It's 12 acres. There's 166 homes there. We do a lot of development in DC. It's important to us to do the mixed income developments. I'm not required to, but I've chosen to do 10% affordable home ownership units.
Okay.
Which is a very significant commitment financially. Okay, so 90% market, 10% affordable. Affordable units generally provide, like we're selling those at Walter Reed now, and I think if you said to me, how much does that cost? The answer is it started to 80% of median income or below, and it's costs I think $384,000 today, but those prices change over time based on DC regulations. That's the affordable ones.
The market ones, we don't know exactly how much they will be, could be somewhere in a range from 800 to 1 million. It's a 4-bedroom house, 2-car garage, could be as many as 5 bedrooms, because we have on the ground floor as well. It's a ground level with a garage and either rec room or bedroom. The main level with the living room, kitchen, dining room. And then next level with bedroom. Yeah,
And is it a mixed use development?
no, it's not zoned for mixed use.
Okay,
So, but it's a very interesting question that you're asking, because there's a building on it, it's an old building, this was a home for boys who had nowhere else to live. In recent history, before that, it was a home for girls who were intellectually challenged. So a long proud history, and there is one building on the site that dates back to the 1920s. And a promise that we made to the Historic Preservation Office would nominate that building that was first built by St. Gertrude's for the girls and then taken over by Boys Town for the boys, part of a Catholic mission, that we would nominate it to the historic thing. We promised to do that. That exists, and it's not 8,000 square feet, it's maybe 8 to 10, depending on who you're talking to, in the Catholic basement at the end.
okay, and then the last question is just, what year is this meant to be done?
We would like to start construction at the end of spring this year. And the idea is for our home builder to sell about 48 homes per year. You can do the math on 166, right? So that's a program. If they sell very well, it'll be faster. If they sell less well, it'll be slower.
Wow, okay, well, welcome to the neighborhood, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Vicky. I guess my question would be, if you guys get project stabilized, or I guess stabilized in any direction, because it's single units. Would you consider adding back those 2 homes?
No.
Density now?
No, it's done. We have a process that we go through for entitlement to the city called subdivision. My subdivision plan is in. I expect it to be approved in the next week. I'm done. I had to make that decision, and my decision was a risk decision, right? I like to tell the people who work for us, as well as the people we work with, we are lovers, not fighters, okay? Because you will never get anything done if you're a fighter. You have to be a lover, and so you have to love your community, and you have to listen to what people say. And so we have listened, we asked early on, we listened to things that are important and try to accommodate as many as we possibly. That's a firm philosophy, that's a non-philosophy, and that's how we conduct our business.
Any other questions, commissioners? I don't see any other questions online. Thank you, Vicky, so much for being here and for being at all the meetings that you've been at, and your patience and explaining all of this. I know it's a big project, and it's really important that everyone has the information, so I really appreciate you.
And I would like to probably doing your ANC. I think you do a really good job. I've been to a number of SNG meetings. I was at one last night. I think that you are a terrific people. You work very well, and you're very attentive to details. What you do matters.
Thank you.
Thank you. I move that we pass this letter as requested.
I second.
All in favor of passing the letter as it has been tested and read?
Aye.
All opposed? Or abstained? Motion passes unanimously.
In fact, also may want to say to the community, this is not the last stop. Vic will be back maybe all next year, because she's gonna have to come back, because we gotta let you know what's going on with this project. It's not a one stop and keep on going. So she will be back.
For sure.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say one, you can write in your chat my cell phone number. It's 301-252-0152. For people who want to contact me, please text. I'm much better at being responsive to that. So please text me and I will respond. If you and your members want me to come and talk with you about this development or other developments, if you want to, I'm delighted to come and talk with you. It's part of our community process. Totally good. and we're here. If anything ever happens, and you go unhappy with construction, you'll have the number, call, and we will work to resolve it. 301-252-0152. Text is best. Okay. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
My friend, cool.
On next
Please at my front door.
item.
Please at my front door.
Mhm.
Before I go to the one that I have the project, I want to update on my. 7 streets that you see throughout the Webster, throughout getting paid. And I'm gonna ask that we invite VDOT and Department of Buildings to our next meeting to follow up. We're gonna be meeting with Ken and I, who's at the White Avenue project. We're gonna be meeting with the Department of Buildings as to what's the hold up, because now I'm trying to get the residential parking on all of First Street. So next time, if we ever come back here again, hopefully that'll be done, but it's working. But the One Hawaii Avenue project is, they're gonna have speakers, I'll be one of them, but we're gonna be speaking briefly. But the main thing is, I just found out that they're gonna be doing, low income for a lot of those units. So it's best to get on in line for it and find out about it. You got a relative, they can reach out to me, so I can directly bring it to them to make sure that we're active. And we have a date, as you see, that if it's inclement weather, they're gonna change to Thursday, 8th and 30th. But in the meantime, it's just gonna be a good project, and we're gonna move along with it, make sure that everything's done correct.
April 15th, and we'll put that in our monthly newsletter as well, so that folks are aware. We have one question.
Hi, Mr. Holiday. I think I live in your part of the neighborhood in Nashville Salon. And I'm glad you brought this up because that's actually what I wanted to ask about today is Go One Hawaii. First question being, my neighbors and I are worried about parking for the residents. So what can I tell them? What message can I share with my neighbors?
Well, you can reach out to me. I'll reach out to Mr. Grant Cole, who's one of the people on the projects, along with the CEO, Ms. Kathy. They're in the last stages of making sure you see on the left side where you come up on the side of the building, that's gonna be parking, and they're gonna have a adjacent parking on the other side as well. All that's taking place now. It's at last minute permits and stuff we gotta get to make sure that happens. But the parking should be ample, and from what I understand, they may even have a interest to go downstairs. I'm gonna look at it again, because they're still finishing up stuff in the last 30 days.
And interest to go downstairs. Is
They
there a
actually
garage?
may have a garage, yes. That's what they're.
There's a garage at one point.
That's what they were trying to get to. Now, whether or not that's been approved yet, but I'm sure that they do have that room. So I will touch base with Mr. Grant and find out where they
Okay.
go with that.
Just to let you know, I think our neighbors are concerned that the number of spaces that could fit the perimeter of the building don't visually look like it would be enough for the number of units that look like. are-
Yeah, they have 70 units, but remember, a lot of people that are coming back, a lot of the seniors that were there before. So they're not gonna be requiring a lot of parking, but although someone might be visiting them, but that's gonna be different. So they're still working the kinks out on the parking issue. So I don't want to give you anything that's wrong until I talk to Mr. Grant again.
Okay, that's surprising, given that the grand opening is coming up, that they're still working out the kinks. So does that, when you said that you're working with I think you said the building, does that include all those potholes, the crazy potholes around the
Well,
building?
believe it or not, glad you brought it up. We've had those potholes done over and over since they've been working. So now that's been going on for the last couple of months, and for whatever reason, we don't know why they keep coming back, but all I can tell, my constituents mostly, if you see them like they did before they called me, and we got them fixed. I don't know whether it's the KP that they're using that's not legit, that doesn't make it last. The used cheap stuff is not gonna last long, so, you know, after snow and stuff, you gotta really use the really good stuff, so that's what we're staying on top of, to make sure, but if that happens and you hit something in pothole, a lot of people don't know this in the district, you hit a pothole and you mark, you call it in and you put where it is, so we get your vehicle fixed, you can turn that back into the city, they're supposed to reimburse you for that.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll let my neighbors know, yeah, because
Sure.
some of the potholes are several feet long.
Yeah, I know.
And
They're
wide.
craters, I've
You
seen.
feel like you're driving a third world country, I mean, it's great. So it was just surprising to see a brand new building and then you got these streets that just, it doesn't match. I didn't know if that's the responsibility of the building or just the city.
Well, no, it works hand in hand. This is why we're gonna have DDOT here, so that they can answer those questions for us. To say, what are you doing to make sure that this doesn't keep on reading? That's what it is.
Clear, Chairman, Commissioner, clarification with the added parking, is it gonna be zone parking or is it be non-zone?
It's gonna be non-zone from the beginning. But this is what we're doing now with the residential parking over here. And I'm gonna do the same thing at One Y Avenue. So therefore, the people that live there are gonna have the first priority to park. And if you park there, you can be ticketed and then towed.
So,
That's the same thing that's gonna happen on.
so
First Street.
I know that there's issues citywide with schools. And so you have teachers who have to come to school, and a lot of times these schools don't have enough off-campus parking. And so it's a dilemma. Where do they park? They have a job. Their salaries aren't like huge, and they can't afford to pay for parking there. So, but there's also conflicts with the neighborhood, like here, where you have residents who live in the neighborhood, but then you have people who are coming to work and they're taking up the parking spaces. So just something to take under consideration.
She was parking right where my house is in front. And I didn't have a problem with it, but one of my neighbors was like, you know, who's this? Here every day, I said, I think she's the teacher. So now she parks right here, just showed it to me. So they've been working that out, working the kinks out, but there's nothing that I'm gonna be able to do when parking enforcement comes through and the signs go up for residents to park. So I've given them ample amount of time to try to work that out. I don't want to penalize no teachers. If they don't deserve to be penalized, they have to come to work too, but hopefully that's gonna work out better and they're doing a better job right here at Latin to make sure that they get extra parking space.
Any additional questions from commissioners or from community members?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no question. You said, they will be coming, to the next meeting, or we haven't scheduled them to come.
We're looking into now, scheduling them. I'm gonna be meeting with the Department of Buildings and the, but we would like for them to be here at the meeting so that they can answer some of these questions. Just like the grand opening, for example, the grand opening might be April 15th. That doesn't mean that they're gonna be finished working on everything. Understand? So, you know, we got, you know, comprehend that. It's just really saying it's a grand open. There's still more work to do. But they have the grand opening so that a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the senior residents that moved away till they were fixing the place, they're coming back. So they'll be able to come back and they're not as mobile as a lot of people anyway. So their parking thing is gonna be just a transition. It's gonna keep going. We don't know when that's gonna stop. Okay.
Chairman, is this a section where I can provide updates, or is that later on?
You can, if there's no more questions for Commissioner Holloway, you can go ahead.
Or there's something else on here before.
More, and then
I'll let
Um,
Commissioner Bakum.
We have added and if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. I don't think it's going to be here.
Oh, hello. Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me? is there an echo?
Yeah, I think there's a.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen if that's okay, very quickly. Oh, I need permission. Okay, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all. Before we get started, my name is Myron Long. I'm the founding executive director of the Social Justice School. We are a charter school located in the Lamont Riggs neighborhood, serving students 5th through 8th grade. I am a lifelong Washingtonian, very proud to be a native Washingtonian. I went to Bertie Backus for junior high school and Calvin Coolidge for senior high school. And continue to live in DC with my two children, and that's the reason why I can't be there in person with you all this evening because my wife is also an educator. And so, Social Justice School has been in the Lamont Riggs neighborhood for 6 years now, and our mission is very simple. We believe that young people can change the world. And so we started out our journey actually at the old Lamont Riggs Library, where we did a bunch of different design performances in order to get feedback on the community, from people in the community, kids in the community, on the kind of school that they wanted when we started our school. And so that was about 9 years ago when we did that process. And what we heard from members in the community, the ones who attended our design sprints, is that they wanted young people to engage in, of course, math and reading and science, but they wanted them to use what they learned in order to look at and identify real world problems. They wanted us to be able to show the community what it means to be a scholar activist. And so we took that input and created our instructional model. And we've been in the same community for several years, starting out in 2020. And so I'm here tonight to provide a few updates about our journey to try to find a facility. We were very, very intentional when we started the school that we really wanted to be rooted in the Lamont Riggs neighborhood, for a variety of different reasons, but mostly because we felt a deep sense of connection to that community since they came out regularly to support the kind of events that we had for our young people. And so, like I said, our mission is that we want young people to change the world. That's it. We just really believe that in order for us to make real systemic change in Washington, D.C., we really, really have to empower and equip young people with the tools in order to change the world. And our three values are love, learning, and liberation. And so we are a small but growing mighty school, currently serving 100 students, about 210 students at capacity in the next 5 to 6 years. And so we are currently located right behind the Aldis. You probably have seen those mobile classrooms. We have 6 mobile classrooms. We've been working with the K Fritz Foundation as they begin to turnkey and develop our new home. So we're currently located at 333 Kennedy Street, which I said is right behind the Aldi's grocery store. Prior to that, we co-located across the street at the Rocket Ship Infinity campus. And so we literally in 6 years have not moved into that community. We've partnered with the Impact DMV Church to provide another space for students during the day as well. And we have really been intentional about trying to find a facility in our community. It's been a very long journey. It took us about 2.5 years to even get to a place where we could be in a facility. Um, there were some options that were outside of Ward 5. Our family said, if you leave this community, we're going to leave too. And so, being though we're a community that really builds with the community and not for them, we decided to stay at our current location. And so through that all, through mobile classrooms, moving, we really had some outstanding growth in our academics. And again, like I said, we stayed here because we heard that from families. We really wanted to be deeply connected to the Lamont Riggs neighborhood. And we really believe in the power of a community-driven world to make substantial change. And so the building, you may have rode past this particular building. It is off of Third Street, coming around that hook. Um, and it is a building that used to be a warehouse, from what I understand. Many of you probably know exactly what it was before, and now it's being transformed into a school. So this is the rendering of what our school will look like. It will hold about 14 classrooms for social justice school, and like I said, we will grow into that particular school and to fill those classrooms. And happy to have any additional space that we can provide to community organizations such as yourself. So there's kind of like 3 floors. This is the first floor. You'll see there's several classrooms here, and then a ground floor and a mezzanine floor as well. And like I said, all the while we've been really promoting a justice-centered education that's rooted in love, learning, liberation. And I'm proud to share with you that social justice school, every school gets a report card, and social justice school had the highest middle school score out of any standalone middle school. And what that means is that we don't have a feeder pattern. So we don't have an elementary school that comes to our school and then goes to high school. We take students in every grade level, and regardless of where they come from, our students have made more growth than many schools throughout the entire DC. And we scored a 62.7 on the report card, which is 76 point higher than all middle schools. And in fact, in Ward 5 alone, we are the highest performing growth in terms of a middle school that does not have an elementary school connected to it. And we also get a score from PCSB. There's 5 tiers. We got a tier 2, which means that we're considered a strong performing school. And we're really proud because we have dedicated our mission to not only making sure that kids are growing academically, growing in terms of their character, but then having the real world experiences that they need in order to change the world. And so right now, our building is being built. It's slated to be the keys to be turned over to us at or around July, late July, or early August. And we've been to a variety of meetings over time to make sure that we can continue to stay rooted. I live off of Buchanan Street, so this is not foreign to me. This is a school that we founded in the community that I live in as well. And so as you drive by, you can see that they're making progress. The windows have been installed. They're building the front steps as well. We have a hearing in April 27th with our charter authorizer, the Public Charter School Board, and we have a vote in May. And so what we're asking for you, first, thank you for your support, because we've always had the support of many of the ANCs here represented, is one, um, if our general contractor could continue to work over the rest of the holidays that are slated from now until August, including but not limited to like Juneteenth and some of the other holidays as well, because we really want to be able to open our doors on time for our students. Our first day of school will be the last Monday in August, like DCPS. And so we were asking if we could get permission to do that and also to provide a letter of support. Every time that we've come to this particular ANC, we've always received letters of support. Last year was for to continue our charter for another 5 years, which was approved, and now we're asking for your support to move into our new facility. And so we are extremely grateful and proud to have been here for long, and that doesn't often happens with schools. To be honest, they kind of bounce around, but we were really intentional about wanting to be a part of this neighborhood, and we've tried our hardest to deliver on our promise to all of our families, and some of the growth that we made last year speaks to that. So I will stop presenting. I know this is a packed agenda. I will be brief. I sent the commissioners the letter of support to continue to work during the weekend, and also for the school. But I'm happy to pause here, stop sharing my screen, and answer any questions that I have from the community.
Thank you so much, Myron. I appreciate your presentation and your time. Just to clarify, we were asking for 2 letters, one for the holiday work and one for the project.
Yes.
Any questions for the commissioners, Commissioner Summers?
Yes. Thank you. Just for clarification, are you asking for permission to work over one holiday or multiple days?
Great question, Commissioner Sellers. Multiple holidays, just so that up until we, sorry, multiple holidays up until I believe August, so that we can ensure that the building will be ready for the first day of school.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you answer.
I think you have to mute while he's speaking.
It's on mute now.
Oh, sorry. Multiple holidays up until August, so that we can ensure that the building will be ready for the first day of school, which is the last Monday in August.
I'm just asking for clarity. What holiday specifically are you asking for? And yeah, what holidays specifically are you asking for?
Yep. One
Oh, I
second.
know. Wait, hold on. What holidays are you asking for? And have you reached out or had any contact with Food and Friends? I know there aren't any residents within 200 feet of the school outside of Food and Friends, which is a organization, and the Aventine Apartments, which is on the back end. And there, but I'm just curious, have you done any outreach to them prior to this?
I definitely know the Aventine for sure. I will follow up with K Fritz and our development team about the Food and Friends. I believe the remaining federal holidays are Juneteenth, Memorial Day, and July 4th, I believe are the remaining holidays up until that point.
What about the 4th of July?
Oh yeah, I said so Juneteenth, Memorial Day, and the 4th of July, and Independence Day would be the three remaining holidays up until the building we expect it to be ready.
And have not reached out to Food and Friends.
I will follow up. I want to make sure that we have, and I will definitely follow up with them personally as well.
And they actually just.
Oh, I can't hear anyone now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Risa just answered the Q&A, and I include I could share her contact information so you two can connect off.
Okay, sounds great.
I have multiple questions.
I'm just saying we don't need to unmute because we have the microphone.
Okay. Myron, a couple of questions. What is your current enrollment and what are you projected to be when you move to the new site?
Currently our enrollment is 99 students, and we project next year to be at 117.
And where the demographics of makeup of your students, where are they coming from? What part of the city?
Great question. When we initially,
How are they getting to that school?
yeah,
Transportation.
great question. So when we initially opened the school, we were seeing more applicants from east of the river. But over time, our demographic has significantly changed. And so now about 70% of our families come from 4 and 5, and then the rest come from 7 and 8. Because our students are middle school students, the majority of them take the train. So they take the train to the Fort Todd Metro and then walk down 3rd Street. We advocated with to the DC Mayor's Office of Safety to get safe passage right there on 3rd Street, because we noticed that there was no cameras that were there, that at least some of the apartments could release footage to us when there was an incident that happened. And so thankfully we were able to get safe passage. So they patrol 3rd Street for our kids in the morning, and for rocket ship, and also parts of South Dakota Avenue as well.
Curious, and many of your students comes from Riggs Park. The reason why I asked, when I'm at the Lamont Riggs Library or near the 7-Eleven, I see a lot of kids crossing South Dakota Avenue. And my concern for them is just safety crossing the street. I have already contacted DDOT regarding just the crosswalk signs there, just the kids walking from one side of the street to the other. They are middle school. kids. Also, the sidewalk on the Kennedy Street side, on the northern side of the street is a 3 foot sidewalk versus the 5 or 6 foot sidewalk, wide sidewalk where all these is. So I see these kids walking, butting up against the fence. I know that project is a staging area for your school. Wonder if you had any conversations with DDOT and or had any conversations with K-Fritz regarding that sidewalk expanding and it just general safety and of it.
Definitely. Thank you for that. I believe that they are widening the sidewalk, starting at the bend that curves around Third Street. That's what I believe is happening right now, and I think that there will continue to bring that down once the more further the building. But I definitely will follow with K Fritz about that concern, and I too share your concern about the crossing, which is why we wanted to have safe passage to be down at the bottom of the hill to support with that as well. And we generally try to walk kids when they go to the library and from the metro, so you'll typically see a staff member walking with our kids to the metro and or across the street as well.
Last questions. What are you using for green space? If these are middle school kids and I recognize they're currently in the classroom trailers. As far as activities, yes, we have a lot of green space in our area, but how are you all programming the kids' activities outside of the middle school and the middle school 7th and 8th grade?
Great question. Fifth through eighth grade. And we have, sorry, my son is down here with me in the basement. We currently, right now, we sometimes use the Keene Field in between DC Bilingual and Bria Public Charter School for outside external activities. Whenever we need to do something indoors, we've been really lucky to have a deep partnership with the rec up the street, and so we've been able to do like a lot of our like basketball practices and anything that requires us to be inside during the day, and sometimes after school as well.
Using that field, are you all going down Kennedy Street to South Dakota through the new park that's slated to start in the next couple of weeks and underneath the bridge on Riggs Road?
Sometimes we take that way, but other times we actually walk. Our kids call it the long way. We walk down Third Street through the metro, and then we come out on the other side, right by the Metropolitan, the transit police station, and then across the street is DC Bilingual, and then the Keene Field as well.
Because there are a lot of connectivity issues that we have in the neighborhood, with Briggs Road, safety wise, and with bird droppings underneath the bridge of
Oh, yes.
CSX and WMATA.
Yes.
So that concerns me that the kids have to walk anyone has to walk underneath that bridge, with the pigeon droppings underneath there. I'd love to work with you on that aspect of it. In addition to First Place, on that street, one side of the street has a great trail, Metropolitan Branch Trail. The other side, there are a lot of curb cuts and it's not ADA compliant. Not that may be or may not be an issue for you, but I'm worried about the quality of life for everyone, all residents in our neighborhood, just getting to and from school.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and I would love to follow up to partner with you to try to resolve that for sure.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners before we move to the community questions? I see there's a question from Sandy Washington. Why are they asking for all 3 holidays? Should there be some compromise on this, especially Juneteenth? I'm going to promote her to panelist so she can finish asking. I think that was the question. that's why all three holidays, I think, was Sandy's question. No, I think you might frozen.
Oh no, I'm here. I thought someone else was being promoted as panelist. I apologize. So the question was why all three holidays, especially Juneteenth? No, that's a great question. I don't think it's a locked in stone that it would take Juneteenth, but I think because there's only three federal holidays left, we're just trying to, as I mentioned, make sure that the building is ready for the first day of school for students and families. But I can definitely commit to circling back with the Capers Foundation to see if there can be any compromise there. I just think that we didn't want to not have that on the table and then like something that is pretty urgent that needed to happen over that time period when we weren't allowed to be able to do it because it was a federal holiday.
I'm gonna go ahead, with the rest of your question, Emily.
It sounds like an echo there, but can you hear me? Good evening to everyone. No, the only reason why I was asking that question is because Juneteenth really is, on my understanding, is not really a federal holiday. I thought it was just local. But if it is, I would just think that because that's the only Black holiday that we really have, that was the reason why I was asking why would it have to be Juneteenth? I mean, the others, 4th of July, Memorial Day, fine. But that's just a question that I'll put forth tomorrow.
That makes sense. Hey, Miss Sandy.
Hey.
I thought that was you. I didn't want to assume. I can definitely I understand that logic for sure. It is a federal holiday. Like if our school was still in session, we would be out of session because school is
Mm-hmm.
technically closed. But I definitely understand that, and we'll follow with the foundation, and then I can come and let you know about that as well.
Thanks. Thanks, Myron.
Of course. Thank you.
Are there any more questions either from commissioners, community? I don't see anything in the Q&A.
I move that we provide the two
I have a
letters.
question.
What was the question?
Yeah, whose S and D is that? Two questions. Whose S and D is?
That's mine, and Commissioner Foods.
My question is, with how does the community feel about
There's no houses within 200.
how do the people in the community feel about
I haven't had a single member district meeting. I'm sorry.
And he's asking us for support letter, so, we're supporting him. And they can take other avenues to ask who has issue with it. We haven't heard any since we've been talking, right? I didn't hear any, so.
No, but I think you missed my point.
You said, how does the community feel about it, right?
No, he said the local community in the single member district.
But again, I said I didn't hear any, I didn't hear any complaints besides, Mr. Washington, but I don't know.
Normally, I may be wrong.
Okay,
Normally, issues like this first go to the S and D. Then the S and D brings it to you. A presentation by him is made to the S and D. Then the S and D brings it. I mean, I may be wrong.
No, you're correct.
I'm not saying it.
Yeah, if they go to the S and D, to the community in that S and D 09, then,
Well,
I understand that would be
we had this
the.
last night, but. Is there a motion on the floor to approve this?
There's
Not yet.
We had a situation last night, similar to this, and the item was taken off the agenda. Because of the community was not notified. So I'm asking, that's why I'm asking.
Okay. So
Are you putting a motion on the floor?
I make a motion for us to vote to give Mr. Brown the letter that he's requesting.
And I'll also just, before we go to the motion, just give a point of clarification. The items removed, it was partially because they were not raised to the community. And also we did not receive the motions to present in front of the commissioners as well. So that is also why we removed it from the agenda. I see one more question.
I'm gonna, piggyback on what.
We need to get her motion, because we got.
We don't have the motion yet.
We don't have the full motion yet.
We're on
I think
the
we'll finish
concern.
and then, but I will ask that any questions pertain specifically to this project, as we do have does it pertain specifically to this project?
It pertains to his concern, about.
Generally, or about the?
Generally, no SMB meetings from Commissioner Thomas.
We do have a community comment period, so if you would not mind holding it for, thank you, I appreciate it. Just so we can get through this motion, I do see a hand. Ushena should be able to unmute now, so one second.
Hello, so just a clarification. So I know you're asking for the holiday work, and then the second motion is to support a letter of support for the hearing before the Public Charter School Board. Is that for the charter change for your location, or is that for your conditional approval? What exactly is the subject of that Public Charter School Board hearing?
Great question. Hey, Jenna. Sorry
Hey, Myron.
if I was not clear. Yes, it's just for the facilities amendment change. So for context, whenever a school changes location, they do have to get an amendment passed by the Public Charter School Board, and so that's what the letter of support is for.
And then where are you all on the conditional approval? Where are you all in that process?
We met our conditions, met and exceeded them last year, and this year we are on track as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's sorry. Can we restate the motion? The motion approved?
I move that we provide the two letters as requested, to support the work on the holidays and the support at the Public Charter School Board.
Our second, was it clarity, was that all three
Yes.
holidays or
Yes.
two holidays?
Very good.
Which
Three
is,
holidays.
It was three holidays. It was three holidays.
I know, but it was a conversation, a dialogue that it should be two instead of three, so I'm just, where are we on that? Is it three or is it two?
I'm moving that we support all three.
But it's because I question, and I'm just asking the question to Byron. If it's, the name of the school is social justice, and as the other person on here had stated, this is a only Black holiday, and it's a local holiday, and we want to respect that holiday. Just putting it out there.
You can vote against the motion.
We do have the motion on the floor, Commissioner, so we are going to go ahead and vote on the motion. All in favor of passing the motion for the two letters of support? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain? One abstention. With one abstention, the motion passes. Myron, thank you so much for joining us, for coming here and giving this presentation. I look forward to hear more updates on this project, and I'm really excited about this wonderful project. We hope you are able to open in time for the new school year.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you
And
all.
I think I missed the chat for the connection to Food and Friends. So someone could, I don't see that in the, I can't see that in the chat anymore.
If you go to the answered in the Q&A,
Oh,
you
okay.
should be able to see from Risa Wells, the contact.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all.
Great, thank you so much, Myron. Moving on with the agenda. We have a presentation from Lead Free DC regarding DC's water and lead free initiative. If our person from DC, Lead Free DC could raise their hand. Oh, we got Sean and promoting you panelist, so you should be able to join conversation.
Good evening, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And may I share my screen?
Yep, go ahead.
Perfect. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Moore, and I'm with DC Water's Lead-Free DC program. I'm here to give you an update on Lead-Free DC and let you know what's happening in ANC 5A. So Lead-Free DC is DC Water's program to remove all 42,000 lead surface lines from the district. As of the, I keep, as of actually this date is as of today, we've actually replaced 11,662 service lines. I forgot to update the date, but it is and that is correct. As of today, 11,662. So we're about 28% complete or towards our goal. So why are we doing this? Okay, we know that lead's a powerful neurotoxin and there's no safe level of lead. And exposure to lead can cause so many different problems, including damage to the brain, injuries to soft tissues. But children and pregnant women are the most susceptible to the dangers of lead. For children, you can have problems with IQ, attention span, learning and behavioral problems. For pregnant women, you could have developmental problems for the fetus, and it could cause miscarriage. And even for adults, you could see problems with heart disease, high blood pressure, kidney disease. All those things are impacted by lead exposure. So it's really important for us to remove any potential source of lead exposure. So with this program, and what I'm talking about specifically today is the service line, and that's the line that runs from the water main in the street into the house. Now that service line has two sides. There's a public side and the private side. The public side goes from the water main to the property line, and DC Water is responsible for any work in that public space. On the private side, from the property line into the home, is actually owned and maintained in the financial responsibility of the homeowner. But with this lead-free DC program, we're able to offer free lead service line replacements on private property. So for everyone who's a part of this program, that service line replacement is free. And the key that you have to do here is to sign a right of entry authorization that allows us to do that work. So I specifically want to talk about two programs tonight, which are part of our capital improvement program. And I'll just go ahead to those. We also have a pretty cool inventory map. I would please check it out. It's also dcwater.com/lead map. So we're focused on two types of pipe material. First, there's lead pipe. Excuse me. If you see that bulb just before the shutoff valve, I guarantee you that is a lead pipe because that only happens with the installation of lead pipes. And we're also replacing galvanized pipes because there's a risk of lead from those corroded pipes. And you can see that tuberculation inside can fill those pipes, and also it can reduce your water pressure. We also have a construction dashboard that you can check the status of your service line replacement or just see if you're eligible. So one of the programs I want to talk specifically about tonight is our buy block replacements. Buy block projects are chosen based on a prioritization model that looks at things like the total number of service lines on the block, as well as the presence of populations like children or schools. And we're replacing lead and galvanized pipes with copper for free. And like I said, district funding covers all the costs, including the private side. Our commitment through this program is to provide you full restoration in kind. We want to leave it as good or better than we found it. And there's two requirements for this program. If you're selected, you have to be home for the replacement, but most importantly, you have to sign up. So you have to complete a right of entry authorization. Right now, we have 65 blocks that are in construction phase. That's 1,419 premises. About 22% of those right of entry authorizations are signed. We got a long way to go there. For the 28 blocks that are pending construction, that's 1,044 premises. We're about 39.3% ROE signed. We do have a long way to go. These blocks actually are low participation blocks. So we would also ask that you would, for our commissioners, we'd ask for your help in helping us to reach out to the folks on these blocks to get them to sign up to participate in the program. And as with all of these blocks that I mentioned today, there's a full block list at the end of the presentation. And I've already shared this presentation with you commissioners, so you can share that with your constituents. The second way we're replacing pipes is our small diameter water main program. And that's where we're upgrading 12-inch or smaller cast iron water mains. And the goal there is to improve water quality and reliability. And as a part of that, we're also replacing hydrants and valves. And during this work, if we find that the home has a lead service line, we're going to replace that for free. We have 2 small diameter water main projects coming up in the next 6 to 12 months. And unlike a bi-block project, which is focused on individual houses, that water main project is going to be a full, block of construction. So it'll be a little bit more disruptive for sure. But as a part of that, we will, of course, fix everything back. We'll have daily temporary restoration. And before we move on to the next project, they will complete every, from beginning to full restoration on a block before we move forward. And these are just the construction impacts, which are standard. No parking signs. There's a couple of shutoffs, water shutoffs, as well as for connections and testing. And the work that we do is during the daytime, unless we specifically come and ask you for night work. For our LPRAP program, that's just our lead pipe replacement assistance program. That's for folks who have a lead service line only on the private side. We have about 14 houses in 5A that are part of the LPRAP program, and you can find that out by visiting the lead map. And if you click on your home, you see this note about LPRAP, then you're eligible. But also, if you are LPRAP eligible, we have sent out a number of different mailings, so you should have already been made aware that you are eligible for the LPRAP program. So what do we need? Of course, we need your help because we need permission from the homeowner in order to do this work. Because we can't do it on private property without their support and their sign up. So please encourage your neighbors to sign and return that right of entry authorization. Our door-to-door canvassers, they're out there knocking on doors, talking to people about lead-free DC. Encourage people in your community to visit dcwater.com/lead if they have questions. Spread the word. This is a citywide effort. So, everyone, we're doing work in all 8 wards. So we're all over the city working, trying to replace lead pipes. And again, you can help, introduce us to your neighbors and block captains, share information in your newsletters, encourage your neighbors to visit the website. You can, if you get your service line replaced, please fill out our post-replacement survey. That's the way we can improve our performance. Community pop-ups, we'll co-host events with you. Well, we'll come out and answer questions about lead-free DC. I'm willing to come out and talk to anybody about lead-free DC because it means it's a very important program. So if you want me to come out, just please let me know. And of course, make sure all your contact information is updated on mydcwater.com. So how do you engage with lead-free DC? First and foremost, reach out to our lead inbox, lead@dcwater.com, or call our lead hotline, which is a 202-787-4044 number. You can also check your service line material by visiting that lovely lead map at dcwater.com/lead map. And of course, you can just reach out directly to me. I'm Sean Moore, sean.moore@dcwater.com, or call me directly at 202-787-4049. Everything I talked about tonight can be found on dcwater.com/lead. We have a plethora of program resources there, including the map, the dashboard, the health effects information. So please go and check it out for any program questions. And with that, I'll take your questions. And like I said, we also have the block list here at the end of the presentation.
Sean, thanks so much, Sean, for that presentation. I'll make sure to share the long version out with the community and encourage our commissioners to reach out to the folks that are on that list that are in your S&D. There is one question in the Q&A, and I saw a hand for the commissioners. When will the replacement begin in this area? And to Robert's second question, I believe, yes, absolutely, the local civic associations can spread the word.
So we actually have construction going on in 5A right now. These blocks, there's so we have blocks that are selected and blocks that are under construction. One of the key things I always say is that the contractor does determine the order of the blocks. So that is, that's one thing that, they get to determine. So we notify you, we'll make sure everyone's aware of when construction is going to happen. But in terms of the how the blocks are, the succession of blocks, it's based on the contractor, but also, of course, on getting the right permits and approvals from DDOT to do the work. So those are the two key things there. You have to get those approvals and those permits from DDOT, and then the contractor has to get it on the schedule.
Thank you. Hi, Sean. Quick question for you. Are there any moratoriums on from DDOT or cutting of streets to make these repairs? We have a lot of streets that have been recently repaved in the past year or two, and it's just, I guess it's just part of urban living in cities where the street's been paved and then there's a curb cut and is torn up again. I'm just curious, does the DC water, does that supersede those paving of the streets?
So with DDOT and the moratoriums, we have to get our permits from DDOT. So we try to work in coordination with DDOT based on, if, we're trying to get our work done so we can do the paving, because we know there may be a moratorium once we finish on that block. But if there is a current moratorium from DDOT, we typically try to work around that schedule and do a different block. So we are working in partnership with DDOT to try to get this work done, recognizing the restrictions and other things that they may have. But again, we're working together to try to make this happen as quickly as possible. But, respecting the work that's already been done and trying to cause as little, rework as possible.
You separately to invite you to a Lamont Rig Citizen Association.
That would be great.
Or just have a table at a minimum with, to meet the residents.
Sure, I would love to do that. So please just let me know.
April 6th, 6 to 8 p.m.
Okay. Let me put my information in the chat.
Chat. Seeing none, I see Deb here with the hand. Deb, I just wrote you to panelists. You can join.
Thank you. I just had a question. Our block recently received the letter saying that work may begin in our area, I guess in our specific block with a 4x4, it looked like 4 feet by 4 feet, etc. Will there be a follow-up letter when it gets closer to the time when the actual work will begin? Because you said the contractor schedules it.
So yes, the contractor is scheduling it. So when we send out that initial letter, and I'm not sure which letter you got, but we do send out a couple of letters. We'll send out a letter letting you know that construction is going to start. We'll also deliver a construction notice to your door about 2 weeks before construction starts, just to let you know. But that 4x4 hole that we talk about, that is a test pit, and that's how we determine or verify the surface line material. And we dig that test pit at the property line so that we can see the material on the private side as well as the public side. In addition to that test pit, we also do what we call a point of entry inspection. And so we look at the pipe material where it comes into the house so that we can we can know what it is at the property line and what it is inside the house. And the reason we do that is because sometimes that pipe material may change. So we look at it and in those multiple places to make sure that, we know the pipe material and we know that if it is lead or galvanized, that we need to replace it. So that's that verification process that, we need to do this work, but we also need it for verification of our records and with the EPA.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I see one more hand and then we'll on to the next presentation. NW7, I'm just promoting the panelists to be accept so you can ask a question.
Yes, hi, good evening. I want to commend DC WASA for coming out. They have started that process that Mr. Moore explained, but they did a great job of, checking my outside and indoor pipes. But what I would really like to know more is accountability report after the process. So, they determined that my pipes were either copper or galvanized, but I really don't know levels or have any idea like what the findings were. Can they
Okay.
please?
Sure. So a couple of things. Once we do the test pit or do the verification process, you should receive a door hanger to let you know what type of material uh, uh, we found at your property and to give you that information. Uh, that is part of our notification process. Is actually part of the whole test pit process, is that we should leave you that information. If you did not get that information, you can certainly call our lead hotline, the 787-4044 number, or email lead@dcwater.com to find that. Once we verify service line material, it may take a couple of weeks, but we also will update the lead map, and you'll get there'll be a full service line material report that you can download and print from our website once we update that after we notify you that we've verified your service line material. But if you did not get that test pit door hanger, please call us because you should have received that with your test results.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome, thank you, Sean. I do see one more hand. Robert, if you can please make it brief.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. The mayor will be dropping her revised budget soon. Will that in any way, as far as you know or have heard, impact this program?
I do not know that. That is a good question, but I don't know. So I would, I would wait to hear more about that. And our other team, someone else in our Office of Marketing Communications could probably answer that a little bit better. Just that's not something that I can talk about, or I have the knowledge base to really give you an adequate answer.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean, for joining us. I really appreciate it. As I mentioned in the Q&A, I will be sharing out the full presentation through our newsletter, which will send out next week. So everyone knows how to contact you, Sean. Again, thank you for your time and joining us today.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And commissioners, if you need any materials, if you want to hand out, printed materials directly, please reach out to me and let me know, and we can provide you with actual printed materials if you like those, in addition to any PDFs of different documents. So just let me know what you need, and we'll certainly share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I get the materials tomorrow?
What did you say, sir?
Say, can I get the materials tomorrow?
If you call me in the morning, I may be able to get someone to bring you something.
Our newsletter is door to door, so it'll be perfect timing.
All right. If you send me an email and we'll see what I can do to get you some information.
Office of Government and Community Relations from UBC, giving a brief presentation regarding the potential closing of the Birdie campus.
Really not a presentation. Good evening, everyone. My name is Juanita Gray. As the commissioner said, I'm the Director of Community Engagement for the University of the District of Columbia. As many people know, during a performance oversight hearing, President Eddington made the announcement that he is looking to hire a contractor to do an assessment to see what the best options to make the community college a world-class institution. So that could lead to potentially leaving the current location at the Lamont Riggs campus. Obviously, no decisions have been made yet. We are still in the process of hiring that consultant. But what I wanted to do tonight, President Eddington would like to come to a future meeting to talk to the community. So what I want to do tonight is get questions that I can take back to him or concerns that I can take back to him, so that when he does come, he's prepared to address those directly with the community.
Thank you. Let's see, do we have any questions starting from commissioners? Commissioner Sellers, followed by.
No, but just clarification, so and I think you said it twice, because it's not been hired yet.
No.
Oh, so that changes a lot. Thank you.
Commissioner comments?
Yeah, thank you. It's been in that site for how long now? Let me ask.
So I believe we were still at 801 at the beginning of COVID-19. So I believe in 2000 was about mid 2020 or 2021. So about 5-6 years.
And so that's no longer meets their needs, or just, I mean, cause if you look at it, was Federal City, Washington Tech was Federal City and UD. And if you look at the history, they have been here, there, and everywhere. And so this is just another, I mean, that's a great site there for them to pick up and say, we're gonna look at the site. I find that very hard to believe. If you look back, if you go back to the 70s, they were on 16th Street, they were on East Street, they were across the street from Martin Luther King Library, they were out in the Southeast. And so, you finally get a campus like this, parking, and then there's a metro stop. And now he's the president shows on the scene and said, we're gonna, are we gonna move back on Connecticut Avenue, or just what? What was driven for them to say, we may pack up and move to the next town?
That's an excellent question, and I don't want to speak for the president because that's something that.
So those are things when he comes?
Yes.
There's those are questions, there's people who've been in the city for a long time, they had seen it when it was Federal City, it was Washington Tech, then you had DC teachers, and then you combine them all together, and you got UDC. And so, these are just questions, this is university is always unmoved, always unmoved. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, sir.
So did they give a time differential, about, like you saying, they haven't had a contract, they hadn't hired one yet?
Correct.
So did they give a time frame as to how long they have to do that?
So I did ask the chief of staff that, and she did not have an answer for me today. So hopefully I can have that answer for you. If the president can make next month's meeting, then he will answer that for you, but if not, I'll at least try to get that information for you.
Thank you.
So at the oversight hearing, he said several times that you all have engaged a consultant.
But no one's been hired yet.
Okay, so I don't want to split hairs. Hairs on this, but it's like, so y'all have engaged, had conversations with a consultant, but they hadn't been hired.
Correct.
And so is this like at the very start of this conversation?
Correct.
Is it because, and when he wants a world class, the question is, just to expand on what he said, a world-class institution, is that I'm aware, yes, the campus is outdated. It was middle school for many years. It has asbestos in the cafeteria, asbestos in the gym. Takes a lot of money to bring that to code. The ceilings in the cafeteria is really low. It does have parking. And a couple of months back, like we had a conversation, you said that I think you shared that the campus was busting at the seams as far as you all had maxed out as far as the space, that the classrooms are always full. Are you all looking for more space to expand the what you're offering to the community? Is that what he's looking for? Is he looking for state-of-the-art classrooms?
More state-of-the-art classrooms. Obviously those things cost money, so where the money is gonna come from is, that's part of the assessment, right? Is it better to, utilize money to upgrade the current facility to do that space, or is there something already existing that we can, modernize and use as that space? So those are a lot of different questions.
The consultant will, but so as my understanding is that you all don't own the building. The building is owned by DC Public Schools.
Correct.
And I guess you can use the building because it's DC Public Schools is DC government.
Correct.
Infinity until you all deem that you don't want the building, the campus doesn't work for you any longer. And so it's a separate conversation. I don't know if it's for the president, like if you all were to vacate, what would that look like, that time frame? What would that look like? And it's my understanding that DC Public Schools, DC Public Schools always gets first right of refusal to charter schools that may be beyond this conversation, you and I, maybe for DC Public Schools and council members. So that's a concern to me, but it's just like, what would the off-ramp look like? Would the school be mothball? Would it be an interim? What would it look like? It's important to the community for that to be activated in a positive way. And so that's a big concern for me. I live adjacent to it on Hamilton Street, so I have a big concern about what's gonna happen. We do it just for the record, we do appreciate the students, the use of the students there. There's low impact on the campus, on the neighborhood with the students coming and going there. So we are looking to, if you all choose to stay there, to continue to partner with you all in a positive way.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
My question is, originally, it was supposed to go back to the junior high school there was. And, money was given from Caper to, get rid of the asbestos that's in the gym and also in the, cafeteria. That money, instead of doing what it's supposed to do, it went towards redoing the auditorium. So I was wondering, can we go back to what it originally was supposed to be? Because we don't have a junior high school, we don't have high school in our neighborhood. Go back to what it was originally supposed to be.
That will definitely be a question for DTPS, but I will definitely put that on the president's radar that would be, a suitable option if the university did choose to use to turn that space back into elementary school or middle.
It was a middle school.
So for the record, I will definitely engage the single member district and ask them what they would like to see for it, because there's, just to address that, some people in the community would like to see more housing, market rate housing, not affordable housing, because we're really challenged in our neighborhood as far as attracting and retaining good quality retail and restaurants. We have a lot of housing in our neighborhood. It sits at the metro. And so I would like to engage the community as far as like, what would they like to see? And then, if you look at the success of EYA's project with Riggs Crossing, where you have market rate housing and you have a senior housing building there on the corner, so you kind of have the best of both worlds. We're able to elevate the neighborhood, the income to support the retail that has been lagging in the neighborhood for the past 20 years.
I definitely agree.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to point out that we currently have, and we heard from one today, we have currently 3 charter schools in our neighborhood and 1 public school. That's a lot of schools in our neighborhood. And if that school, and this is no slant on the previous presentation, but if we put another middle school in there, what does that give us? Especially if it's not a neighborhood serving charter school, because schools today, when that school was built, it was a neighborhood school. DC doesn't have those anymore. Kids are coming from all across the city. So the world has changed. And this may not be the location for another middle school, another school. But I would definitely like to engage the community, the immediate community, to find out, hey, what would you all like to see here?
I agree. I think that's a great idea because when it was proposed years ago, the community was full of kids from around here. But as you said, we don't need another charter school. We don't, we don't need that. And the kids that work here, they're grown up.
Yeah.
So housing would be really good, and also the restaurant, because we don't have restaurants.
Thank you, commissioners. We have hands online. Shanna, if you want to go ahead.
Hi, good evening. This conversation is very confusing to me because I don't see any notes being taken as people are speaking. I think everyone knows how I feel about the engagement process that UDC does, which is to me is non-existent. If I had not asked Councilmember Parker about what's happening with the campus plan, he wouldn't have raised the issue at the oversight hearing. It is baffling to me that you all will say that a consultant has been engaged, but now you're saying that one hasn't been hired. It still just feels very much like basic things, basic communication is just not happening. And to me, it does not take a lot of money, effort, or time for the university to send out an email, put something on the campus plan website, basic community engagement to say, the campus plan has been stalled, whatever explanation you want to provide. The president would like to engage the community and hear questions. I'm just confused about why this is so difficult for you all to have meaningful engagement and utilize these low-cost tools to engage your immediate neighbors.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Jenna. I have been working with the community currently on the 9/11 memorial. We've been working for a couple months now. So I have been engaged with the community, and I actually do come to the meetings. I have been online, so you haven't really seen, well, you can't see who's online. So I do come to the meetings. I am up to date. Unfortunately, at the time, I could not share information. So I know that's frustrating for the community, and it's frustrating when I always say, I'll get back to you, I'll get back to you. Once the president put it out there, then I could come and speak about it to the community. In terms of the notes, Commissioner Sellers and I have had a long conversation about this already. And I've taken down quite a few notes already prior to this meeting. And the other questions are pretty easy to remember. So I am taking notes in my head, but a lot of them I already knew were coming because Commissioner Sellers and I have already had this conversation.
Okay, so again, is there any way to just use the campus plan website, use the newsletter that you all send out, saying that you're relying on Commissioner Sellers is not a community engaged? It just isn't. Like if you want people to submit questions, they need to know where to submit questions.
President for
Are you going to
community
provide your email
communications
for
and
people to
marketing.
send questions?
So I will ask her if she can add some updates to the campus plan website.
Yeah, as the community goes through this process, we have to realize that UDC, if they move, they'll move.
Yeah.
The problem comes in what will come behind it. And that's one thing, the community has to be prepared for, so if they move, as I stated earlier, they have been here, there, and there'll be some more places, so this is a university that's on the move, still haven't found where they actually wanna be, and they're still working on that state, it may take another 10 years, but what come next year, what will be their campus there? Another school, another DC public school, I don't think that's gonna really help at this point. You mentioned maybe housing, upscale housing, I don't know, but that's something community needs to start looking down the road there.
And one more question that was raised, from the community. Since 1995, students attending UBC, they're requesting student housing. Are there any efforts to offer international and out-of-state student housing?
So any student, we actually have a lot of international students who live in our current student apartments, so we don't have traditional residence halls that you would see on a normal campus. We do house students into apartment complexes across the street from the Van Ness campus, and those students are community college students, regular students at the Van Ness campus as well. And many of them are international students and from out of state. So we currently have it, and any future housing, of course, we would add to it.
Thank you so much, Juanita. I really appreciate your time. And whenever the president wants to come, just let us know. And we'll add it to the agenda.
I was real my question. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I did want to add that, next month, I would, in addition to me speaking, I would like to have someone from our marketing and communications team. Even though there's talk of potentially moving, we still are at the building, and we want to put up some new signage. So I want them to present that to the community, before we move forward with that.
Absolutely, just let us know and we're happy to chat and do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And there was an announcement that you all have on the farmer's market starts.
Shoot, I'll find that date. It's in my notes or in my email. Excuse me. Thank you.
In the meantime, we have Lacey Davis from the Mayor's office. How are you doing, Lacey?
Oh, how you doing? Good evening, everyone. I have some updates. The mayor just introduced hospitality legislation focusing in part on wards 5, 7, and 8, as well as downtown. The bill is aimed at reducing barriers for new businesses, supporting local makers, activating public spaces, and create new opportunities in the hospitality and retail corridors. This could help support economic activity and entrepreneurship in Ward 5. I would like to add the links at the end of this after I give this presentation, but please don't cut me off before I can upload the links. Also, the citywide spring cleanup will take place coming up April 25th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Ward 5 cleanup site is Crummell School, 1900 Gallaudet Street Northeast. Residents can also bring bulk waste to the Ward roll-off location and participate in recycling and battery drop-off efforts. And the date for the Ward 5 roll-off is Saturday, July 25th, and that will be at the North Michigan Park Recreation Center. So please share that with neighbors and get the information out to those who need to dispose of bulk items properly. Also, the Ward 5's Reservoir District continues to be highlighted as a major transformational project. The district has already delivered the Reservoir Park Recreation Center, Aquatic Center, and a 6.2-acre park. Upcoming development includes new townhomes, affordable housing, and mixed-use residential buildings, a grocery store, and neighborhood retail. Other important family and community updates. DC Child Care Subsidy Program will begin a wait list for new applicants after May 12th, 2026, due to funding pressures. Families currently receiving support will continue to receive assistance as long as they remain eligible and complete redeterminations. You can please share this information with families who may be impacted as well. And one last thing, Metro is seeking public feedback on additional proposed fiscal year 27 bus service improvements in DC. These changes are intended to improve reliability, better match service to ridership patterns, and expand access to frequent all-day service. The survey opens Friday, March 27th at 9 a.m. and closes Monday, April 6th at 5 p.m. And I will leave links to all of the information I provided. That's it. Thank you. I can't hear you.
And shared help. I appreciate you joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Parker's office, how are you doing?
Good.
Do you have a question for,
Yeah.
can I say something? Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm very disappointed that you did not call me after, in the chat, I gave you my phone number and you said you were going to call me about the issue with the rats and the mulch and et cetera for Faith Church with our cleanup project. I got the, I sent you a video, I sent you the phone calls. Finally, Ms. Starkhill got back to me, your boss, saying that y'all are weighing some issues, gonna give me a comprehensive plan. All I want is some guidance. It probably won't take but 5 minutes, but I'm letting you know, whatever you plan on giving to me, I can't wait. I have to respond to Mother Nature. We must move forward with this project. So I'm just letting you know, I appreciate whatever you're going to get to me, but just I want to give you a heads up. We are moving forward without the government. Be back, sir.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely well aware of the issue. I was just there today, again, taking photos, and in the process of, we're still trying. I reached out to DOB and the tax office. We're still trying to figure out who's responsible for that little slither piece of area that we're talking about, near the Yums carryout. And I also flagged it with Department of Health as far as abatement is concerned. We are on it. We had a core walk today, not not off of South Dakota, but I've had the opportunity to talk to Hazel with DOB and also Mr. Roberts from DPW about that issue as well, and we are moving on it. I do apologize that I did not get back to you, but I will. Believe me, when you email me, I am on it. I just want results, and I have some answers for you when I do contact you, but we're still on it.
Thank you, Lacey. There are going to be some questions in the chat. If you can respond to those directly, if you would not mind, so we can keep moving. I will make sure that there was one from MW about entrepreneurship resources. You can go ahead and respond to them directly. As well as Cheryl, if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A so Lacey can answer that question directly. Again, thank you for your time. Councilmember Parker's office.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great week. To start, Councilmember Parker sent his fiscal year 2027 budget letter to Mayor Bowser last week. It detailed 3 priority areas: anti-poverty investments, cutting wasteful spending and inefficiencies, and investing in critical projects for Ward 5 facilities, businesses, youth, and seniors. I'll drop a link in the chat where you can read the full letter. Following the approval of the sale of Providence Hospital site in Ward 5 last year, residents are now encouraged to nominate experienced community members to serve as trustees of the DC Healthcare Access Trust. This is a $5 million fund created from the sale of the site to support charitable healthcare in DC with a focus on Ward 5. 3 trustees will be selected to manage the funds and advance the trust's charitable purposes. Nominations are due by April 8th, 2026, and I'll drop the required qualifications and the nomination form in the chat. The Office of Attorney General will also have a public meeting. The first one was on March 18th to share information about the DC Healthcare Access Trust Nomination process, it is April 2nd. It is in person at the Lamar Riggs Library from 6 to 7:30. Thank you for everyone who nominated someone for a Ward 5 award. Our selection panel is now working to help decide this year's winners. And be sure to RSVP to attend the Ward 5 award ceremony, which will be April 1st at Ivy City Smokehouse at 6 p.m. We learned this week that the district's chief financial officer has yet to receive the mayor's fiscal year 2027 budget proposal for their required 10-day review period. This means the mayor won't make the April 1st drop date as originally announced. We hope to have more updates soon. This is the third year in a row the budget will be late, and it causes difficulty for residents intending to testify at budget oversight hearings and for the council's tight timeline for hearings, markups, and votes on the budget. This is a reminder. DDOT will host an open house on Tuesday, March 31st from 5:30 to 7:30. You can stop by at any time during this window. There's no scheduled presentation time at Woodbridge Library. DDOT will share conceptual designs and alternatives considered for a protected bikeway along Harewood Road Northwest, Fort Drive Northeast, and Taylor Street Northeast from Rock Creek Church Road to South Dakota Avenue. If you can't make this meeting, materials from the open house will be made available on their website within 48 hours of the conclusion of the event. The council unanimously approved the Union Wesley Way Designation Act of 2025 for consideration at the next legislative meeting, where we expect it to pass unanimously. Last month, February 26, DPR held a Riggs in South Dakota Park meeting. If you missed that meeting, I will drop the presentation in the chat. And the project construction kicks off this spring. And then lastly, we're excited to see WMATA propose several Ward 5 bus improvements, including two big ones we've been advocating for seniors in Edgewood, the D36, and then in Fort Lincoln, the C63. In 5A specifically, the D74 would operate 24 hours a day under this new proposal. Like Lacey said, WMATA will conduct a customer survey of proposed improvements from March 27th to April 3rd, and this survey will be available on their website, and I'll drop more of that in the chat. If you have any questions, I can be happy to answer them.
Thanks so much, Andriana. Commissioner Sellers?
Thank you, Adriana. Quick question. Since the presentation we had with DDOT or Office of Parks and Recreation, they've gone quiet, kind of ghost. I believe the person that was the project manager, I think he had surgery. But there was some outstanding questions we had regarding the plans for it. Any assistance you can give us in getting that information would be helpful. We know that they were waiting for permits. And the start date was supposed to be anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. I think we're going on 3 weeks. So it would be nice to know if they're going to be able to start on time.
Definitely. If you have those specific questions, you can send them to me, but I can definitely ask about this timeline.
And then there's another request for you and Mr. Davis with the library, Lamont Riggs Library.
Mm-hmm.
Exterior of the library are peeling. There's the graphic treatment on there. They're curling and it looks really bad. That's a big concern of mine. When I drive past Cleveland Parks Library, which is a beautiful new library, and the substance of what they built it, you don't have those issues. I just feel like for the taxpaying dollars that we pay, we're not getting the same return on investment for our library in our neighborhood that you see in other neighborhoods.
Gotcha.
There's a panel that's also coming that they're doing some work behind there on the Kennedy Street side. I just want to make sure that is addressed. The people on the local level of the library, they don't have any control over the budgets and so forth, but I just want to make sure that we're getting the services that we were paying for. If any help with that, appreciate it. And the follow-up to that, At the Lamont Riggs Citizen Association, we have invited Councilmember Parker, as well as Councilmember Janice Lewis George, because the neighborhood straddles both 4 and 5, to come and provide us with an update. And so hopefully they can address that issue with the library, and just the service of it, at that time, or hopefully it will be repaired by that time.
Yes, I'll definitely reach out to the library.
On the spot.
I I couldn't hear what you said, but I will definitely follow up with you about this incident and also with the library.
Very much.
Commissioner Baku, so, Miranda, you said there will be a meeting on April 6th at 6 p.m. at Lamont Riggs. It sounds like a conflict with the Lamont Riggs Civic Association meeting.
It is the Lamont Riggs. So did she have a separate one?
April 2nd is what I said.
That's for nominees for, that was on April 2nd?
Yes. That's the DC Healthcare Access Trust. The Office of Attorney General.
Thank you for joining us, and you can please put the links and anything else in the chat. That would be greatly appreciated. Is Councilmember Henderson's office present? Before we move to community comment period, Councilmember Henderson's office. No, okay, so we are moving directly into the community comment period. I know there's a couple of commissioners that have updates. If you want to go first before we move into comments from the community, Commissioner.
Yes, I just mentioned it, LRCAs will host our monthly meeting, on Monday, April 6th. We have invited both Councilmember Zachary Parker as well as Councilmember Janice Lewis George, to present. This is not a debate. This is just to give updates of their work in Ward 4 and Ward 5. So there will be an opportunity to hear from both of them, for updates about Ward 4 and Ward 5 at that meeting. In addition to that, planned a cleanup day with 4B09 with Danielle Gion, for 4B09 and with 5A01. And then also a big shout out to the National Park Service, who presented, I think last month or 2 months ago. They've stepped up and they've cleaned out the areas in Fort Circle Park. And we're trying to help assist along the curb line of Galloway Street, where there's a lot of trash still left over from the snow removal on that front. And
What's the date of the community cleanup?
this Saturday, from 8 to 10 o'clock.
Can I ask him a question about that? Does the city give you plastic bags for your trash?
They do.
Thank you.
They'll give you plastic bags, they'll give you the pickers as well, if you need. Do you need some?
No, not yet.
Okay. Happy to share.
Soon.
Anything else, Commissioner Sellers?
There's probably some more things going on, and I mentioned that, we met with, Commissioner, Newcomb, regarding the Parks and Recreation, the new park going on the corner of Riggs and South Dakota Avenue. So construction on that hopefully will start in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We're excited. This is a long time coming. Very excited about that. The one thing that the challenge we advocated really hard for it to be a water source. They have committed to watering all the plants for the first year, but the second year, there's not. We did receive a second tranche money from Eleanor Holmes Norton's office. That money is not there yet, so they're gonna move forward with phase 1 and then phase 2. Whenever that money becomes, we'll start the process with the second part of the park on Riggs and South Dakota Avenue.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Are there any more updates from commissioners before that I move forward? There's two. Commissioners.
My update is that, in my S&D meeting last night, we, decided that we wanted to proceed to changing the hour to this workshop. One, because we found that there were inspectors getting through and 3 to 4 bags, big trash bags and things that should not have been in the facility and being sold. And from that point on, we decided that we would like to change the hours if we can. I know we're gonna have to give a letter. I talked to you all about it. And, if you can, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Knight. If you can get us a letter before the meeting in 2 weeks, so we can all review it and have a conversation, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Commissioners, anyone else before we move to, we have two hands. At Rhonda Henderson.
Yes, hi. Everybody. I hear the echo. Okay, great. I'd like to share with this community an opportunity for those who are experiencing memory loss and the caregivers who support them to participate in an arts workshop. This workshop will be on Saturday, March 28th at Michigan Park Church, 1600 Taylor Street, Northeast. What participants can expect at this workshop is to participate in arts activities facilitated by dementia care experts from George Washington University Institute on Brain Health and Dementia Care. They can also expect to take a professional portrait with a professional photographer, them and their loved ones, and then also to record a memory. This is part of the initiative called Dementia Stories DC, which raises awareness about the support caregivers need, as well as celebrates the lives of Washingtonians who are living with memory loss. And there will be an exhibit of these photographs and experiences in June. So you're invited to come out if this is relevant to you, if you are taking care of someone who is experiencing memory loss, if you are a caregiver or someone connected to an individual who is experiencing memory loss. And I'm happy to drop the Eventbrite link in the chat for everyone to explore. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That sounds like an absolutely wonderful event. Yushena, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. I would just like to encourage the commissioners to check their emails, in particular for public space committee application hearings. These are often associated with development projects, but there was also one for the new park space on South Dakota and Riggs. And this is the time for the public to be able to see detailed plans of what the parties are doing in the public space. And it seems like the commissioners are just overlooking these opportunities for public input because the public is not being notified of these hearings. I think it would be very easy and feasible for the ANC to upload these applications to the ANC's website. The ANC has access to the applications, the public does not. So you all are getting the detailed drawings, diagrams, etc. We're being left in the dark, and then we get to meetings and you all are voting on stuff, or a party says a hearing is happening next week and no one knows what they're talking about. And these are important things in our community because they're literally in the public space. So I know I've reached out to Commissioner Bokum regarding the public space application for the park. I haven't heard anything back. There was the application for Boys Town. Again, the website is available for you all to upload these documents, and I just highly encourage you all to do that, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yushena. We have one hand online, and then I see some hands here. Cheryl, you go ahead.
SMD meetings. They, first of all, I was asked to, present to Commissioner Thomas, why he hasn't had a SMD meeting. However, I understand. I think that we need to, the 5A needs to look at these SMD meetings because, most of the world has changed since COVID. My neighbors, I tell them about the meeting, they don't care, they just don't care. I tell them about the pedestrian, they say, okay, that's good, they want that. But in terms of trying to hold the SMD meetings, it becomes very difficult. So I had this conversation with, a neighbor pertaining to, this, I know it's late, but anyway, I asked her, I said, well, what is it that you want Commissioner Thomas to do? And the only thing that we discussed is possibly putting it up on the 5A website. But Commissioner Thomas has told us that he's not gonna have a S&D meeting. And in all fairness to him, how would he even let the community know if he was going to have a S&D meeting? Now, what I did mention to this individual, I told them that in the past, the North Michigan Park Civic Association, under Grace Lewis, Rip, they always came there, and that's where we would get our secondhand information from the commissioners. I just think that the S&D meetings today in this new after COVID, people are so isolated and so busy that the S&D meetings, except for the ones, the popular people, they can have it. Elaine can have one, Lucio can have one, but any new person such as Commissioner Thomas, where will we even begin? So I'm willing to assist. I'm definitely going to assist Commissioner Thomas. And the only thing that I know is when I come to the meetings or go places, just ask people who lives in 5A02 and just start a list there as best we can.
The question or comment?
Can I have 1 second, commissioners? Thank you, Cheryl. So we actually do have a feed, so all commissioners do have a feed on the website where they can post meeting notices. If you do not remember where the feed is, let me know. I'm happy to send the link out. And we also have a MailChimp email list where we send out the invites to these meetings that the commissioners are also always welcome to use to publicize their S&D meetings. So we just wanted to make sure that, since I think the resource has been brought up recently, that there is a feed on our website where commissioners can upload those local S&D meetings, and publicize those.
And if they're not?
And if they're not publicized, can't make them publicize them. So, but those are there, for the feed, and if folks need help, uploading those, let me know. I'm happy to help and support, doing that. The Commissioner Sellers and Commissioner Thomas.
Just clarity, it was like, just want to be clear, it's like, were you making a statement or a question?
I was bringing the concern to Commissioner Thomas, how the community, well, not a few people feel, but also I also see the problem because I walk up and down my block and I ask people, why don't you come? Doesn't it? They don't care. Half of them don't even know they're in 5A02. They don't know what that means. So that's something else that has changed that we have to deal with. A lot of people in the neighborhood just aren't concerned unless you have the old ones that really dedicate themselves to the community. So it's a struggle, basically, in getting information out. But I will say on the record that North Michigan Park Civic Association could help in this by allowing or having commissioners come to bring information to the community that way.
And there was a comment from North Michigan Civic Association, actually, that commissioners do have a section in the meetings all existing already for any commissioner that is within that area.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yeah, thank you. First I want to say is that Miss Shirley, indeed,
You say so.
you're not, I have one side of Sergeant Road, you're on the other side. That's, Commissioner, Lucio. She's your commissioner, I'm not your commissioner. And she should have told you that a long time ago. I can't believe she let you go that long without telling you that. So, Sergeant Road is the dividing line.
All right, thank you. Any more comments?
I'm not finished.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, yeah. And so one of the issues I think you have is regarding Boystown, with the traffic measures that DDOT requested that. They never sent anything to the ANC. Okay, I talked to our general counsel, and there's nothing we could do about that. They asked the developer to go into their pocket to fix those devices, which is put some signs up, which is have a crosswalk, which is to tear that handicap spot up and put this handicap spot back there. There's nothing for me to walk down the street to show everybody that we need to have a meeting to repair that. And it's almost like they're upgrading. And so you don't have to have a meeting for them to upgrade. You have to understand when you talk about meetings, okay? I would not bring a whole bunch of neighbors together to say, hey, they're gonna upgrade, we have an issue with this upgrade. You let them do that job. It's great that DDOT came to urban development, asking them to fix it and asking them to pay from out of their pocket. The taxpayers don't have to pay for that. So we have to look at things, okay? In reference to meeting, I have two civic associations. I have North Michigan Park, I got Queens Chapel. Queens Chapel asked me to come to their meeting, and that would be their ANC meeting. Same thing with Carmen. I told her I was at the last meeting, okay? So to have meetings, just to be having meetings, and as we look right now, we're here now, it's 9:15. We started what time, 6:45? This is a long evening.
Yes.
Okay, this is a long evening. So we have to look at it. If it's something real pressing, something like that, yes. So you have to keep in mind what we're looking at, what we're not doing. Just to have meetings, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna waste the taxpayers' time with that, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't say I'm not sorry, I'm just not gonna do it. That's it. Madam Chair.
I have, she brought up something, I have a list of comments and whatnot, but she brought up
If
something.
you concise and brief, I appreciate it. I'm not
I'm
asking.
not gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my issue, here's my thing. I believe there's a rule, I got about run through real quick, you can respond however y'all want. Number one, Elaine had an event with a flyer, no, I thought the rule was if you put out ANC stuff, you gotta have ANC logos on it. The flyer has, all your flyers and stuff have a phone number at the bottom, you call that phone number, there's nobody there. For about 3 or 4 years, y'all supposed to be hiring somebody to be an office assistant, ain't nobody, it hasn't happened that other week, the last month or so, you said Jack was gonna do it, he was working on it. I know 2 or 3 people who wanted, have reached out, got 0 response. Last thing, communication, and as Shinya said, your website is a mess. I've been fooling around with the internet for a long time, back when they had what they call front page. I know in 2026 that this, to do a website, it's gotta be, it's a piece of cake. Or now, the website's a mess. I'm on it all constantly. I was on it the other day, and I saw this little I was looking at the page that had like videos or something. And then the teeniest font you ever want to see, teeny, and then on a prescription, piece of paper, you get a prescription, it said, subscribe. I said, what is that? I punched it, it took me to a YouTube channel. What is going on here? Y'all got a YouTube channel? I mean,
you don't know about it?
I didn't know about it until.
There's a YouTube channel with videos on it. The thing, okay, it's crazy. We can't find out anything until, now what you do, I'd appreciate it. You do give us that 2-week notice of the meeting coming up. There was, they had a meeting yesterday. Supposed to have been an emergency meeting, but I was in the executive meeting. The items that she was emergency about was what she had. So she had 2 weeks to let us know. And meanwhile, I remember another situation where you had an emergency meeting, and I was wanting to chime in on something. Emily was in charge. The emergency meeting was the rule was emergency is for one topic. But that didn't happen last night. She had like 6 of them over there. Didn't do it, all of them though. And the only one she had, I'm not gonna get into it. The communication, the website is trash. What's up with the YouTube channel? And how is the community gonna know about that?
All right, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. One, thanks for letting me know about the YouTube. Didn't know about that. I'll check it out and figure out.
And the staff member that you're supposed to be hiring, Jack. I remember you saying that Jack was doing that.
So
I volunteered for that in writing to you.
it seems like we have some, I will definitely take you up on your offer of volunteering, and we actually are just in the process of getting someone over there who's going to help with the AV and communications. So I promise we're going through everything. It's a bit slow, but we're trying to get there. I agree, our website is trash. If you see anything like that, please email it to me, 5AO7@anc.dc.gov.
Oh, I want to praise you. Prior to your coming, I got every week I got these little things with updates and what's going on in the community from the ANC. So I said, Emily, what's this? And she said, that you did it. And I said, that is the best thing that 5A has ever done. She said, do you like what I did? I said, no, Emily, I did not like what you did. I want to praise you. Now that you're in the chair, you don't do it no more.
Because I'm chair.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
That was brilliant.
I appreciate it. So
that's communication right there. Let people know what's going on and talk to them.
So like I mentioned.
But then when you get here, it's shut down.
Not shut down, trying to, as you said.
I understand that, I understand. I'm just telling you, that was brilliant. It was the best move 5A has ever done in the last 10 years.
And like I mentioned, we now have someone that we're actually gonna pay to help us with the AV, and that's gonna be part of it, bringing back the newsletter, because we heard a lot of very positive feedback, and I'm one person, I can't do it all. So getting that external help is going to make a big difference to make sure that we're able to share all of those resources.
Logos on flyers, take that phone number off flyers until you get somebody to answer the phone and call people back.
I appreciate it. And like I said, anything specific, send it directly to me, 5AO7@anc.dc.gov. I'm compiling all of the things to work with our website folks to update it. It's a bit slow going because the list of things that need to be updated for 5A is a bit long, so bear with me while I make my way through the list. And please email me directly. I will make sure we get to everything. It might take a minute, but we'll make sure that we get to every single thing and get 5A in tip-top shape as soon as possible. I won't give you a date because I can't make promises, but as soon as possible. Any other final comments, questions from the community here or online for the commission?
We're gonna be having a meet and greet, Commissioner Weston and I, on, is it April 22nd? It's gonna be in Harewood, 4300 Harewood. We will be getting our actual flyers as well as by internet to make sure that people, it's gonna serve as a coexisting SMD meeting along with us showing people how to vote and what are all kinds of things that you can do and what your derivatives are from voting. So it should be real education as well as getting to meet us. And we'll have some things. I have some other things gonna be coming, but I'm not gonna announce them. They'll just be there when you get there. Okay?
Thank you so much. Our next meeting is April 22nd. As I said, we'll have the meeting notice out on time, so everyone knows what it is, the agenda. So the time is 9:21. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion approved. Have a good night, everyone.